So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the 2022 Stanley Cup champions, and that is, of course, the Colorado Avalanche. However, we're not going to be talking about last year not much. We're going to be talking about whether or not this team can go for a back-to-back this year. And that's been the question we've been asking a lot this season, and I'm kind of wondering whether or not they're going to be suitable to go all the way. I'm going to be entirely honest with y'all. Now, starting off with what we usually do when we do a single team video, we'll take a look at their record. They have played 69 games so far, not including their game tonight against the Pittsburgh Penguins. They have a 41-22-6 record for 88 points. They have scored 231 goals and have let in 191. So that is a pretty good record. Considering the amount of injuries that they've had. We're going to get into that a little bit later, but that has been a huge role in why they haven't been exactly, the best team that they've been in previous years, of course. Obviously, when you go all the way to the Cup Finals, some players are going to get battened and bruised and hurt, and that definitely has happened, but we'll get into that in a second here. I want to go through their month-by-month record first, because even though they won the Cup last year, this team had a lot of adjustments. They had a new goalie. They had to deal with a lot of injuries, as I just said. And as well as that, too, they had a lot of new players in their roster, and a few of their players also left that were key parts in that run. So starting off here with October, they were 4-4-1. So obviously there, you have kind of a mediocre start, middle of the road. That's expected. With most teams, that's usually how it's going to go. You're going to start off being pretty mid. That next month, they were pretty solid. They had an 8-3-0 record in November, which was definitely good for them. In December, it was a little bit of a rougher month, but they had an 8-6-1 record, and that was a pretty rough month. I think a lot of those wins that they had were in overtime. However, they still came out on top with a pretty solid record. As it goes for January, they were 8-5-0, so they were still pretty solid in January. February, they were 7-1-2. And so far through March, they are 7-3-1. So this team has been consistently good, but not as good as they have been in previous years. They've been struggling to beat some good teams. There were questions at one point, could they even make the playoffs in the Western Conference? They will now. They're third in the division. They definitely will. They have a pretty solid gap between them and Winnipeg, even though that gap could close. They still have a pretty solid gap to probably finish third in that division, which could mean we could see a Minnesota versus Colorado first-round matchup, but obviously that's still a ways away yet. But yeah, we'll move into injuries now, and injuries are really the biggest thing with this team and why they haven't been as good as they were in previous years. They're still really good, but they have been better, way better, at this point last season. And the reason why goes because Gabriel Landeskog has been out of the lineup the entire season. He's been on LTIR. He's been like the Kucherov of 2021 with the Tampa Bay Lightning. But with Landeskog, he's likely going to come back in playoffs, but he might not. So that's the biggest thing there. We knew Kucherov was going to come back in playoffs from, I'd say, probably 2 months before playoffs even started in 2021. However, with Landeskog, we don't really know as of right now. So Landeskog's been on LTIR for a while. Eric Johnson's also been on injury reserve, not LTIR. And Darren Helm has been as well. So those are the other two ones that are currently on injury reserve. When you look at the players that are in the lineup right now, but they are hurt, but they have been hurt before, not that they are hurt, you look at them and they're like, wow, that's no wonder they don't have as good as a record as they had. Nathan MacKinnon, he missed 11 games this season, and we'll get into the point totals in a little bit, but the fact that he's still above a point per game pace, almost double a point per game pace, is unreal. Cale Makar missed 14 games. Which actually could help his value for the Norris because he's still playing really good, even though he missed 14 games. Lehkonen missed 7 games. Lehkonen hasn't missed all too much, but he's been pretty solid contributing to this lineup. Nichushkin has missed 29. He was a huge factor in last year's playoffs. One of the players that I really enjoyed watching through that entire playoff run. Him being out 29 games definitely hurts you and this team 100%. And then as well as that too, Evan Rodriguez also missed 11 games played as well. I know I missed a few, but Byram's definitely missed a lot of games. But there's been a couple other players that have missed games. I just included the few that I saw firsthand, and as well as that too, the players that missed over 5 games this season. So yeah, I played that into there as well. When you look at their point scores, and for the top two, it's really, and I've said this before with many different teams, with Colorado, there's 2 players that are really just accelerating the entire way. I guess you could say 3 if you include that blue line. I was thinking of the offense, but you have 3 players that are kind of accelerating their way into just absolutely insane point totals, and then you have players who are contributing in secondary scoring type roles. You start off with Nathan MacKinnon. MacKinnon, 58 games played, 30 goals, 59 assists for 89 points. MacKinnon, as I said, missed 11 games. The fact that he's still at an 89-point pace with 58 games played, and he could still reach the 100-point plateau, could even peak at like 110, 115 maybe, is absolutely unreal. And it really goes to show the immense value and how good of a player he really is. And that just, to me, says he's definitely probably still a top 5 player in this league. You got Mikko Rantanen. Rantanen this season with 69 games played, so he has not missed any games this year, but he's playing insane. He's playing remarkable, and he's definitely, with a lot of the injuries, he's gotten a lot of recognition that he definitely deserves. Rantanen with 69 games played, as I said, 47 goals, 38 assists for 85 points. He's been very good for the Colorado Avalanche 100%, and he's definitely taken a step up this season. He definitely deserves more recognition as well. He's definitely one of the more quiet stars in the NHL 100%, so I definitely love to see him having a really good season. He could peak around 55 goals. There's about 20 games, or a little over 10 games, not 20 games, left in the season, so he definitely could reach that plateau. And then you move into the secondary scoring type players offensively. You got Artturi Lehkonen, who has 62 games played, 20 goals, 29 assists for 49 points. Lehkonen came over in that trade with Montreal, has played very well with the Colorado Avalanche. Definitely staying as a solid secondary type scorer, second line forward. He's been great. As well as that too, you have JT Compher, who is often forgettable, but he's always been a very solid player. 69 games played, 14 goals, 31 assists for 45 points. Very solid forward as a whole. I'm definitely looking forward to see what he's going to do come playoffs. I'm looking forward to this team altogether come playoffs. I'm very excited to watch the Avalanche play yet again. You got Valeri Nichushkin up next with 40 games played. As I said, he's missed a lot. He's missed 29 games. Nichushkin has 14 goals, 24 assists for 38 points. The fact that in 40 games played, he's still almost a point per game is very remarkable, and it goes to show he is another one of those really underrated stars around the NHL 100%. And then the last player that I included here for the forward core is Evan Rodriguez, who was obviously signed at the beginning of the season, I believe. He has 14 goals, 19 assists for 33 points in 58 games played. So, a pretty solid offensive core. It's not as good as previous years, definitely not, because obviously when you have all these injuries, it's going to definitely deplete you. And I mean, mainly Landeskog, 100% there. But, you know, you look at this team, without Landeskog, it's definitely hurt them. You know, not having your captain definitely hurts. But obviously they've still kept up this consistent record. And it just goes to show, like, how well this team's built. I kind of compare them to the Western Conference version of, like, the Carolina Hurricanes, where they don't have one specific star that's flying above everybody else. I don't know what my mouth dish is there, but they don't have one specific star that's just being better than everyone else. I guess you could say McKinnon, but really you can't. There's players that are playing at really high levels here, and they're built really deep as well, and they're coached very well too, because Jared Bednar, of course, I almost forgot this, but he was signed to a 3-year contract as a coach for the next couple of seasons. So he's definitely going to be the Avalanche's next coach for a long time. I thought I'd include their one deadline acquisition, that was Lars Eller, the most notable one. Eller, when he came into Colorado, he was profiled to be probably like a third-line forward, third-line scorer. He obviously scored the cup-winning goal for the Washington Capitals back in 2018. So it's good to have a player like that on your team with a lot of playoff experience. Eller this season, though, has played 11 games, has 2 goals, 1 assist for 3 points. So some players, they're not all Rasmus Sandins who come into the lineup and play unreal, but obviously there, Eller has not played the best, but that offense isn't everything when it comes to a forward, though. You look at their blue line. You got mainly Cale Makar, who, as I said, has missed a couple of games. Makar this season has 16 goals, 45 assists for 61 points in 55 games played. Makar still playing at that high and elite level. Definitely going to be a contender for the Norris Trophy 100%. He could very well win it, but Erik Karlsson could win it this year. I don't know. I want to make a video on the Norris very soon. Probably at the end of this month I'll start making those videos. Next up, we got Devon Toews, who has played 67 games played. He has 5 goals, 32 assists for 37 points. He's a plus 30 there as well, so obviously being on the line there with Makar definitely holds up. He's also another one of those quiet stars, being like the defensive partner to Makar. It's definitely helped him amp up his value, and he's a really good defender, 100%. Next up, you got Samuel Girard, who I think was rumored to be traded at the beginning of the season, but he has not been. Girard played 63 games, played has 5 goals, 26 assists for 31 points. Obviously, in last year's playoff run, he actually got hurt and he was out. We were worried about that, but obviously, of course, they won the Stanley Cup, so it wasn't a big deal. But yeah, Girard this year, he's played plenty of games. He's been solid, and definitely a major props to him. And then last but not least, you have Bowen Byram on that blue line. Byram has definitely missed a lot. 31 games played. That's more than I think anybody, actually. I think that's, I believe, if my math is correct, that is 38 games he's missed. So that's definitely brutal. 7 goals, 11 assists for 18 points. Or is that right math? Yeah, right math. I shouldn't question it. But anyways, Byram has been a very solid defender. He's definitely improved over the past couple of years. I wouldn't say he's worth a 4th overall pick like he was back in 2019 as of now. But he's still been a solid defender, and he was a pretty good defenseman in that cup run as well. And then that's it for the forwards and the skaters and the defensemen mainly. We'll move into the goaltending now, which the goaltending, even last year, it was a little bit like, do you really need an elite goaltender to go all the way to the Stanley Cup? And that's been the question that we've been asking for a while. I would say with, Georgiev, the Avalanche could prove that rhetoric wrong yet again. Kemper last year, I still think he is a really good goalie, really solid. He's been great with the Washington Capitals. However, people say that he wasn't the best that he could have been with Colorado. However, Georgiev, they're definitely going to need to prove something here if he wants to stay, like a good, solid goalie with the Avalanche. He's been all right, but I don't know. I don't know if he can take him all the way to the Cup like a Vasilevsky-type goalie. 51 games played, 32, 14, and 5, with a 2.53 goals against average and a .920 save percentage. He's had good stats, but playing behind a really good Colorado defense also plays a huge role in why you don't need an elite goaltender to go all the way. So that's kind of the thing that I'm thinking there. And then as well as that, too, your backup, you got Pavel Francouz. And Francouz I've had many different opinions on before because I've said that they didn't need Georgiev. I didn't think they needed another starting goalie. I thought Francouz was ready. This year, though, he's probably still going to stay a backup. He's probably still going to be a backup for the rest of his career. 15 games played, 7-7-1, with a 2.53 goals against average and a .919 save percentage. It's crazy how in less games, Georgiev still has the same record, pretty much the same stats as Alexander Georgiev. So going back to the question, can they go back-to-back? And honestly, I look at this team, I think they very well can. If Landeskog comes back, they're a favorite. But as of now, I look at the Eastern Conference. The Eastern Conference is elite. That's all I'm going to say. The Eastern Conference is absolutely insane. I feel like it's more likely this year for the Cup winner to come out of the East than it is the West. But then again, there is the same amount of teams in each conference that goes all the way. So we shall see, though. But honestly, Colorado could very well win. They could very well win the West and go to the finals yet again. Realistically, I think they can beat Minnesota. I think they can beat Dallas. Dallas people say is kind of overrated. I've been thinking about making a Dallas video for a while. I don't know. You could beat the Oilers again, but with like more blue liners on that blue line, more solid blue liners, we'll see. And you could beat Vegas too again very well. Thompson, solid goaltender, but I don't know how he'll do in the playoffs. There's a lot of ways you could think about it with the Avalanche, but I think they could very well make the finals. Winning in the finals, we'll see. But anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments below on the Avalanche. Thank you all very much for watching, for all of your support as of late. I really do appreciate it. Please make sure to go subscribe down below if you are new. And anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.